Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make bay shrimp cooked in coconut oil with some spices. For those of you who don't know, bay shrimp it's actually wild caught pink bay shrimp, to be specific if you're out there wanting to purchase it in any place that sells seafood. Bay shrimp are the little shrimp that you commonly find in a salad. So this would be an example of them. These are cooked and they're just laying on a bed of lettuce. Super simple. Olive oil, pepper can be added after the fact. One of the questions that we get a lot, which is why this is a great video to shoot, is cooking with coconut oil seems to mystify people a little bit. So they ask, how do you do it and why would you do it? So I'll kind of explain. Olive oil is great. It's a great fat. It's a really healthy one. We certainly promote it here on the site. But olive oil actually has what's called a low smoke point. A smoke point is the point at which an oil slash fat gets toxic. So when you cook with olive oil, it has a tendency to start smoking. That's at the actual smoke point at which it's becoming toxic. It's a low temperature oil. At the end of the day, and you can Google this to get a little bit more information, cooking with coconut oils, cooking with olive oil is actually not great to do. It's the predominant oil that is used to cook with. Coconut oil, on the other hand, which you can cook with just as easily, has a high smoke point. And what that means is that all the nutrition stays intact, it doesn't go rancid, and it doesn't go toxic, it doesn't have any bad effects on the body. So this coconut oil can cook at a much higher temperature. So it's actually more, conducive to the heat. It's simply better to cook with. The second thing that people don't completely understand is what to do with it, and I can understand that. It's actually starting to get to winter here in Pennsylvania, so the temperature has lowered a lot, and the coconut oil is really, really firm. If you've never used it, the warmer that your house is, if it's above around 72 degrees, it'll start to get to more of an oil, which is a little bit more of a familiar territory for people that are cooking. A lot of people don't understand if it's not an oil that you pour in the pan, what would you do with it? And it doesn't make logical sense to them. And that's how we felt about it. But I'm going to actually show you how to do it. We have our little setup here of stuff. This is our raw bay shrimp. Right here we have a ginger sesame spice. I actually got this at Whole Foods from their little bins of stuff that they have in their spice area. The other one is a garlic powder, again purchased in the little bins that they have at Whole Foods. But first, there are 1,000 ways to skin this, and obviously if you cook a lot you might have a lot of different ways to do it. This is just how we tend to do it. So this eye is not on, everything's cool, so I'm going to actually throw this down in the middle. And like anything that we do here on the site, it's important to remember that we actually we're very liberal with our coconut oil. If you've never used it, again, you might start off a little smaller. It's so good for you, but it will kind of clean the stomach out a little bit, so if you're not used to it, be careful. The second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this eye on. I don't know what exact temperatures these are, but I'm going to go about this one right here. And you see it's starting to move right now. So I'm going to let it kind of get its melt on, and then I'm going to lift it above the eye and I'm going to coat the pan. That's the first thing I want to do. And you can see we're very set up here for the month of October, a favorite of ours. So we have pumpkins out and pumpkin pie candles and the whole thing. So you can see it's starting to go real good now. So I'm going to try to balance that in the middle. And while that's happening, I am actually going to go ahead and add the herbs. Again, some people might want to do it after, but this is our sesame ginger. So what I'm going to do is try to spread it out around the pan. And I'm actually using quite a bit. Some people might not like that much sesame and ginger, but I do. And then we're going to go with this garlic powder. Kind of coat the pan a little bit here with it. Now that is completed as a process, I'm going to move this oil around again. And nothing's perfect, obviously, but you can see we got a little layer there. And now we are actually going to add the shrimp in. And immediately start moving those shrimp around and get them as separated as possible. You can see some of them like to stick a little bit because they've been sitting in there for a few minutes before we started filming this video. So we're going to start moving this around. And what I'm actually trying to do right now is the coconut oil is going to help coat the shrimp. So it'll actually, you can see right now, right there is a really good example, that this stuff is starting to stick. And that's what we want to do. We want to get a actual texture of the spices that we put in there. The garlic is probably already on there. Now, a couple of things. Coconut oil, when you cook with it, you're getting it in your body, so you're getting all those great things like the lauric acid that helps fight cancer, and it's antifungal, so you're getting that help on your stomach. A lot of people have stomach issues these days, you know, because of a lot of processed foods that we've all obviously been exposed to. The other thing is, a big question that people ask about coconut oil is, you know, they maybe don't want their food to taste like coconut. I put a lot on there. You do not have to put that much, but the coconut oil is the fat. There is no sugar. So when you think in terms of taste, like of a fruit, like the sugar is actually going to be very heavy and the taste is going to sweeten it. There's no sweetness to it, so you're getting an aromatic flavor. So you don't really have to worry about that. When you bite into these shrimp, you're actually going to taste, you're going to taste a hint of coconut. So, you know, however you want to look at that. But again, it's not going to be this overwhelming flavor that a lot of people get afraid of. You know, even people who don't like coconut, they will like this. It's just a whole different deal. It's actually very subtle, and if you have guests over, a lot of people will notice it. It's different, but in a very subtle way. And these cook quite fast. In fact, they're pretty much finished here, but I might let them go for just a touch longer. But you could have added a ton of other types of spices in there, and I think some people would have preferred to maybe put the spices on them in the beginning. I just like the effect that seems to happen here with them taking it on. And bay shrimp are great with pretty much anything, but you know, they're pretty well known in salads. So if you go to a restaurant, bay shrimp salads are a pretty big deal. And the shrimp have a good fat in them, so good source of protein. And I think we might be just about finished here. But you probably don't have to stir as crazy as I'm stirring, but I like to try to get them all coated as much as possible before they're removed from the pan. But hopefully you see how easy that it is to go ahead and stick the coconut oil in the pan and just melt it yourself. Obviously there's a little bit of time that happens there where you want to get the food in, but when you put the coconut oil in there and it starts to melt, you can actually just pull the pull the pan off and put it on another eye that's not lit, and you have a little bit more time to deal with things because it's not going to get hard again for a little while. But one mistake people do make is don't try to coat coconut oil on your meat before you cook it. Like I've seen that happen, and like the meat's usually cold before you cook it, so it'll get lumpy. If you do that, you can still throw it in there. It's not a big deal at all. But anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these on here. We made quite a bit of these, so. I'm going to put this right here. Oh, dropped that. So, we'll just deal with this one. This is the one, whatever. Here they are. After the fact, you can add a little olive oil. Olive oil is a great, healthy fat to you can just do that. Maybe that's enough probably. And I always like a little pepper. I mean, you could put obviously you could put lemon pepper on there or something like that, but that's a great salad. You don't have to put these on a salad. They're just sort of built, you know, in terms of those little bites. They're sort of built for it, but you can serve these in a lot of different ways. You know, the essence of it is how to cook it in the coconut oil and create that little layer with your spices and all of that. And like I said, your spices, if you have a Whole Foods, they have an awesome spice area where you can pick the amount of spice that you want and, you know, get everything that you need really. And obviously, if this is your first video and don't know, we do tend to buy ours at Trader Joe's, our coconut oil at Trader Joe's. But if you look on the site, there's a ton of different brands that you can go and get. So, anyways, thanks.